Hey, everybody, you are back with Brittany Elliott. I am a self care and mom life management coach, and I help working moms create simple, sustainable self care routines that help them reconnect with themselves and improve their overall wellness. And we are back with the Mother's Day series, bringing you another mother with a great story. So today we have Latrice Rose-Moore. Latrice founded Melanin Mommies Pittsburgh Inc. in 2014 with a vision to create an online support network for expecting African American mothers. Her mission was to foster a community where new mothers could find the support they needed. Over time, Latrice has played a pivotal role in transforming Melanin Mommies Pittsburgh into a comprehensive organization with a focus on programming, resources, and activities that nurture Black mothers holistically. Latrice's academic journey includes a Bachelor of Arts degree in Communications and Public Relations from Edinburgh University, as well as master's level certification in Human Resource Management from Carlow University. Currently, she is embarking on her doctoral journey in psychology. In addition to her academic achievements, Latrice is a certified life coach, an accomplished mompreneur and inspirational speaker, and holds various business certifications, including being a mental health first aid instructor and maternal mental health specialist. Latrice wears many hats and serves as the chief consultant of a financial and credit education firm where she guides minority small business owners and entrepreneurs and credit improvement strategies to secure essential business capital. Her contributions and impact have not gone unnoticed, as she was recognized and honored as a Pittsburgh 40 Under 40 awardee in 2019. Additionally, she has been nominated for the Martin Luther King Jr. Award and Athena Pittsburgh Awards in 2019 and 2021. Latrice is also celebrated as a Cribs for Kids Women of Achievement honoree and a new Pittsburgh Courier 40 Under 40 honoree. Her work and influence have been featured in numerous media outlets, including the Pittsburgh Post Gazette, New Pittsburgh Courier, Local Pittsburgh, Voyage, MIA Magazine, Pittsburgh City Paper, Soul Pit, and more. Her dedication to empowering and uplifting Black mothers and her substantial contributions to the community make her an inspiring and influential figure. And I am so honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Your bio is just so powerful. Just all the work that you have done and just your growth and the intention that you have set for your life. So I'm really excited for our listeners to hear your journey. And just to start, can you tell us a little bit about your journey into motherhood?
Sure. Thank you. I have to say this. Sometimes when someone else reads your bio, it reminds you of all the things that you've accomplished. So thank you for reading that whole thing. My journey into motherhood started actually, if you want to be technical, my journey into mothering started when I was 8 years old, as I was mothering, a sibling. Um, and then again, when I had my first niece um, in 2006. And then when I became a mother officially in 2014. But I would think that my journey started long before then, um, stepping into that mothering role with family members.
Now, how do you think, being like now looking back and you're like, you know what? I've been mothering and nurturing and being mindful of other people's needs for most of my life. Like, how challenging has that been? How insightful has that been? Like, how impactful? How has that really impacted you over all this time?
It's been very impactful. And insightful because when I was 8 years old mothering a sibling, I didn't think anything of it. And then becoming a second mother to my niece, and then most recently to all of my nieces due to my sister having being diagnosed with epilepsy and having an accident. Um, it Me getting that experience as I was younger helped me to step into the role of mothering those pretty much those around me. Even with my organization, that's how I look at it. You know, we're mothering the mothers who we serve. Um, it has helped me tremendously in life, especially as I established Melanin Mommies, because when I became a mother in 2014 with my daughter, um, I thought growing up, all my mentors were male, and then when I became a mother, I said, "You know what? I need a woman to guide me through this. Like, I need to see what it's like to be a mother and a mompreneur and a, employee, and how to balance having a relationship and all of those things. So I needed a woman figure. Um, so me mothering, family at a young age helped me to recognize that, the mentoring that I did need, and to prepare for, my own child.
When you were 8, did you see it as mothering, or do you remember being, like, spiteful, like, "Oh, why do I have to have my sibling all the time?" Or were you just kinda going with the flow then?
Um, I had an innate need to protect my sister. I didn't look at it as mothering, but I had this innate like feeling to protect her and want to nurture her and to, to keep her safe.
Yeah. And that's really good because I feel that I'm the middle child,
Mhm.
and my younger brother, he's 4 years younger than me, and then the older brother is 6 years older than me, and I felt like I just wanted to be older so much to be able to go and do my own thing that when I had to take my younger brother with me, I'd be like, "Oh my goodness, why I have to
Mhm.
take him with me and do all these things?" But then when we got older, we wanted to be around each other, all the time, and I
Yes.
don't know if when I was 8, I would have been I would have been okay with it, or even would see the value in it,
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
So you've grown through that so much. With all of that mothering, like, what challenges have you had to overcome?
Um, I had a journey as a single mother. So me and my now husband, we were together and then we separated for about 6 years. And I would say that was challenging because even though most of the women that I knew in my family were single mothers, that was never something that I wanted for my life. I didn't want to be a single mother. Um, it was challenging when I decided to, separate and to go our separate ways and just raise our daughter. Um, and that was because I didn't know if I was making the right decision at that time for her. I didn't want my child to grow up and resent me. Um, I didn't know if I could truly do it on my own, because even though I've seen the mothers in my family do it on their own, it wasn't a lovely process, right? So I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I knew at that time it was necessary. Um, that I can say was probably the most challenging initially, probably within the first year. It wasn't challenging having being the primary, parent and having that responsibility. It was more so um, worrying about the impact that it would have on my child. Like I said, because I've had that experience, of mothering, it I was able to flow into it. However, it was more so the mental implications that really um, were the hardest.
That makes sense, especially because I think before I had my daughter, I would think that the hardest part of mothering is, um, the night feedings and getting them to potty train and all that.
Mhm,
But I've learned that it really is the mental, like the
mhm,
hardest part about mothering and parenting is the mental load and you're questioning every decision that you make because you don't know if it's the good one right away. It takes some time.
Right.
So what advice do you have for our listeners who are really going through those mental challenges now?
Whew. I'll say this because thank God my daughter has been amazing. Like you said, the feedings and the late night ER runs and that none of that was stressful. None of that was stressful. For anyone who is going through it now, like we said, the biggest thing is the mental, and don't compare yourself to anyone. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's journey, because your journey is going to look different. It doesn't matter. Not every motherhood journey is the same. You have different morals, different values that you want to instill in your child. You grew up differently. All of that impacts how you mother. Your family support, whether you have a village, don't have a village, how you were mothered, most importantly, affects how you mother. So, um, I just want to say give yourself grace on your journey through motherhood. Absolutely give yourself grace. Motherhood there's this concept that motherhood, it stops you in your tracks, and it can ruin your life. You can't your life is not your own. That's not technically the case. Your life is still your own. It just looks different. You have to readjust. You have someone who depends on you for life who is now a priority. So your life is not ruined. You just have to adjust to how it now will look moving forward. Um, and if you believe in a higher power, keep praying to get through it. Um, that's that's the biggest thing. Keep praying to get through it and give yourself grace. Absolutely give yourself grace. If you don't have a village, there are resources. There's community resources. There's organizations. There's online resources. Even if you have to start there with a simple Google article to help you get through, do that. Do that. Even a lot of people don't know this, but your primary care physician, your oh my goodness, what pediatrician, they have resources. So make sure that you're connecting to those resources that are available to you, and give yourself grace through your motherhood journey.
That's really great advice. And even with you adding where you can find resources, because I find in the work that I do when a mother is going through a hard time, I will often ask her, have you checked into any resources? What have you done so far? Because a lot of times we settle in to the challenge, we settle in to that feeling of derailment,
Mhm.
and we get really stuck.
Right.
And because we have a life that depends on us, I always try to encourage mothers, find ways, even little ways to move forward. Try to find one thing that you can do today that'll make you feel uplifted, even if it's prayer or meditation or just going and talking about how you're feeling, or even
Right.
doing that simple Google search. So I love that you talked about that. And you mentioned that the challenge of single motherhood was really just kind of like an initial challenge with, the mental aspect of
Mhm.
mothering. So as time went on, what was the new challenge you had to overcome?
So the thing is, which people don't emphasize this, it goes fast. Like your child grows up so fast. So, like I mentioned initially, that mental, oh my gosh, I'm making the right decision. Is she going to resent me for separating from her father? Um, you know, I think a plus side to that is because when I became a single mother, I also became a self-employed around the same time. So I didn't miss out on a lot of milestones. I was there every step of the way with my daughter. So for me, like I said, every journey is different. That's a different journey. So with me not missing out on those milestones, that um has brought me, some comfort. But also on the flip side, it's I've watched my child become she'll be 10. I've watched her become her own person. Like, it's I looked up and now she's this beautiful spirit, this beautiful soul that I want to protect at all times, but also we're at the point where she has her own mind and her own feelings, and she wants to explore the world, and she has her own thought processes that are not so much influenced by her parents. It's She has her own thoughts, so you know she has a lot of rebuttals when it comes to some things. Not in a disrespectful manner, but it's like, no, mama, I need to express myself. So that's a new set of challenges now as she gets older, gets more intelligent, has questions about the world, and she's exposed to some things, within the world. My daughter also, she has vitiligo, so that has been um she's very positive about her vitiligo. She will educate anyone about her spots, what we call them. Um, but not everyone is nice, if that makes sense. Um, People, what I'm learning is they can overstep their boundaries. They're at, hey, is that a birthmark? Because her vitiligo's on her face. Hey, is that a birthmark? And then, we're like, no, it's vitiligo. A lot of people aren't educated. So then, my daughter feels some type of way, like, why don't these people know, or they assume she fell when she scraped her face. And, so, with that said, I brought that up because there's just things I want to protect her from. And I'm not always going to be there to protect her from those things. So that is the newest challenge.
There's sometimes an unsteadiness that comes with that, but I think that when we remember how quickly the time goes, like you were saying, that can kind of be um a strength and something hopeful that we can hold on to because man, it goes by in a blink.
It's a
And
blink.
yeah, it is like we did it and it's gone. Next thing you know, I mean 10 more years and
Yeah.
she'll be 20.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. So for our listeners, because I know you touched on your relationship, there was a separation, then you got back
Mhm.
together, and not diving too much into that because I know we could probably go for a long time
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
that. But what advice or what can you share with our listeners about those who are in a relationship and they're thinking about needing to separate, needing to take a step back and not feeling right? Just the things that you could feel in your relationship. What advice you have for the moms right now who are sitting with a decision to leave, stay, and they're wrestling with it like what is going to happen if I do this? What would you want to say to them?
So I'm not gonna give advice. What I will say is, um, I'm just gonna give a snippet of what I was wrestling with. Should I stay? Should I go? During that time, I needed to go because I needed to prioritize myself and my mental health. And as a new mother, um, I I needed to make sure that I was okay to continue to be the best mother that I can be. At that time, if I would have stayed, I wouldn't have been the best mother that I could be. And that was extremely important to me as a first time mother, um, as well as, like I said, not having those examples. No one in my life could tell me whether to stay, whether to go. Um, you know, they couldn't. Then there were some in my life who said, stay, and it didn't feel right. You have to listen to your gut and make the best decision for you and your child, but most importantly, you, right? So some people will say, staying is the best decision for the child. Well, what about you? What about your mental health? What about your health? What about, can you be the best mother in the situation that you're in? Will your child see a version of you that when you look into the mirror you don't even like, if you stay or if you go, that no one can tell you what to do. Um, no one can tell you what to do. Also, because my outcome was different, like I said, we were together 4 years, separated 6, and now we're married. That's not everyone's outcome. And I've actually had women reach out to me because they love our story and how we came back together. Um, but a few of them have had the expectation that that would be the same outcome. Um, and I can just say that was something that God had in the cards for us. That might not be the situation for you. So don't, separate thinking that, okay, 3, 4 years we'd come back together, because that might not be it. You might be meant to meet someone else. My story's different. I wasn't meant to meet anyone else. It just didn't work out that way. But prioritizing your mental health as a mom is, it's important. You have to make the best decisions for you, while also, yeah, just make the best decisions for you.
That's good. That is so good because I think that when we're contemplating a decision, we pretend as if decisions are always permanent.
Mhm,
But a lot of times it's the decision that we're making now for the right now, for the situation right now. So I
mhm,
love that you said do what's best for you and the type of mother you want to be
mhm,
right then. And you'll evolve and you'll grow and then you'll make new decisions or you can change your mind. It's just I think because becoming a mother is so like a concrete thing that we experience. It's like you
mhm,
have a baby, you have this child. And then we kind of see every other decision and outcome as like as permanent as that.
mhm.
And it's all just so temporary. So thank you for sharing that part of your world. I want to hear a little bit more about your entrepreneurial spirit
Mhm.
and how motherhood and mothering impacted that. So, can you tell us about how being a mother has pushed you to accomplish your goals both personally and professionally?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, when it comes to my nonprofit organization, Melanin Mommies, it wouldn't exist if I wasn't a mother. So, you know, that I created that organization out of the need of having, that what I didn't have, that village that I didn't have, and wanting mothers to have that same village. Um, Deciding to step into entrepreneurship, self-employment, was because I was a mother. I didn't want to miss out on those milestones. I didn't want to miss out on those events, school plays, dance classes, and things like that. I just I sat at my job and I calculated hours in a week, and I calculated my commute to work and from work. So that's 2 hours to and back. Getting ready, that's like 2.5 hours. Then the 8 hours that I'm spending at work, and then the commute to pick my child up from daycare, and then coming home, and then the hours that it takes, to cook and then get her prepared for bed. And then when I looked up, I'm like, how many hours do I have left for my child, let alone myself, right? Like I'm doing all of these things, and all of these things take time. Where does that leave me as a mother? Like, what after all these hours, what do I have left to give my child at the end of the day? Because we're coming home, cooking dinner, then she's going to bed. And if I can have a breather to myself, that's at the end of the night while, she's sleeping. And then we wake up in the morning, then we do it over again and over again until the weekend. And then on the weekend, I'm trying to make up for the lost time during the week. I was like, I don't want to, I can't. I don't want to do this. And because it was important for me to break some mother-daughter cycles that were within my family dynamic that have been passed down generation to generation, it was important for me to step away from working a 9 to 5 and jump into entrepreneurship as a means to um, bond and connect with my child and not miss important moments in her life. So that motherhood influenced that whole process. You know, when I was in graduate school, I was taking her to class with me. I had a professor that would let her sit in the class with me. We did that for about, 2.5 years before the pandemic. Um, so I had to do what I had to do during that time. And everything that I am today, all these accomplishments, I mean, it's because I am a mother. And that has been my path to who I am, is through motherhood.
Ugh. And to imagine, Latrice, if you would have let yourself be derailed by
Mm,
motherhood, right? Like so
mm.
many other moms would not have been able to receive the community you've been able to provide. And this is just full circle to you saying that motherhood could really send your trajectory like on the path you were meant to be on. It
Mhm.
may change how it looks, it may accelerate you, it may delay some things, but if something is meant for you, it's meant for you.
Right.
And for me too, I motherhood really helped me step into myself
Mhm,
more.
mhm,
And I think that a lot of mothers, I don't know if it's a fear, but they tend to shy away. They shy
mhm.
away from that and think that they can't still live in their boldness and still live in their power through motherhood because maybe they were so career focused. And then I hear in you are starting your doctoral journey or in your doctoral journey
Not
to
yet,
study.
not yet, not in
Not
it
yet,
yet,
not
no.
yet, not yet, but that's on the horizon for you,
Yes, we are
right?
in the beginning phases, yeah.
So that's awesome. So how did that come into play? Because you're an entrepreneur, you're already doing things, you're kind of living in the life that you wanted to have with the flexibility. So where does you continuing your education come into play with your plan?
So, I am a first generation high school and college graduate. I got derailed during the pandemic because the pandemic mentally took a toll. It mentally took a toll. I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot, homeschool my kid and make sure that she's good and then try to do graduate school. It just was not working. So I had to step away. So it's been about, oh my gosh, these years went fast. I think 3.5 years maybe. I want to continue my journey because I was in a master's program at Carlo. I was in their like pilot MSW and MBA program. Um, and since I've had the time to just sit with myself and really focus on my next steps academically, it led me to pursuing my PhD program. Um, and besides the fact that I, want those letters at the end of my name, I just the major I mean, the academic focus that I'm pursuing, it's it just fits. That's really what I can say. It just fits. It will help me develop more as a leader, as an executive director, um, and I'm just looking forward to the journey, really. I'm looking forward to the journey. I know that's gonna present new challenges, um as I balance that and being a newlywed and balancing my organization. I know that journey is not going to be easy, but I'm looking forward to it. I am truly looking forward to it. And because we're in the beginning, of that pursuit, I can't say much about it yet because I'm not fully engulfed in that process.
I love your mindset and how you're just up for the challenge. Like you don't see challenges as anything other but growth and excitement. And I'm sure when you're in it, it's tough.
Mhm.
But I think that your ability to know who you are and know that you are always able to bounce back from circumstances is really it's really engaging and it's really refreshing
Mhm.
to hear that because even in the work that I do, there's a lot of pain. There's just a
Mhm.
lot of pain that our community is experiencing along their parenting journey. And I like to share with listeners how I meet my guests. And I tabled at one of the Melanin Mommies events, and I was just there sharing my resources. And you and I just, it was like, hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for being involved. And that was really, really it. I did the event and it was, a great event. And then we really didn't talk much after that. And
Mhm.
then I put my daughter, y'all, in a new dance school because I wanted her to have people in our class that looked like her, so I moved her to a different dance school, and I go in to get her enrolled, and Latrice is sitting there,
Yeah, yeah, right?
sitting there waiting for her daughter, and I'm like, "Hey, wait, I know you." And then that was how the reconnection happened,
Yeah.
and I share that to say a lot of mothers struggle with the idea of, like, making connections and
Mhm.
making friends and even engaging in new like relationships with other moms, people who have, common ideals. And you can't do that if you don't put yourself out there. Like if you
Right.
don't go anywhere. And I think the pandemic turned a lot of mothers in particularly into hermits and they
Mhm.
still don't want to come out of the house. So here in maybe just Pittsburgh specifically, can you share like some of the things that you have upcoming maybe that moms can get involved in to start building community and making connections with other mothers?
Sure. So our focus right now at Melanin Mommies is on our Heal Together program, and that is a group therapy program that is specifically for Black women and mothers who have been affected or lost a loved one to gun violence. Um, and if I've never seen an example of community and village and togetherness, I've seen it through our group therapy program. These women each we just graduated our 7th cohort, and each cohort has been completely different. I mean, from backgrounds, from the loss to grief, it's all been well, not the grief because they share that in common, but different backgrounds, their loss, it's all been just completely different, but by the end of that cohort, the way that these women connect with each other, rely on each other, uplift each other, build with each other, support each other, that is a true example of the village that I aim to implement when I first started Melanin Mommies. I didn't know that it would be through this program, but it's really an example of that village. So we have that. We'll be starting our next group in May at the UPMC Neighborhood Center in East Liberty, the new neighborhood center over there near Staples. You can go to our website to inquire more, www.melaninmommieспгh.org. Our swim program has been going strong since 2016, our Black Babies Who Swim program. That was started to help mothers foster their connection with their children in the water through bonding, mommy and me swim time, and it's just developed into I I believe the only swim program that primarily caters to like low income African Americans, the members, the moms through our um, organization are able to, get discounted rates. We partnered with the Thelma Lovett last year. Um, we don't have an official start date because we've been prioritizing our mental health programming, but we do plan on relaunching at the Thelma Lovett our swim program. We just don't have all of those details yet. Um, we're looking to do more things this summer. We had our Black Mothers Mental Health Picnic. We didn't have one last year. We plan to have one this year, and our Black Mothers Mental Health Picnic is where you had tabled that. And it's even though we got rained out that year, it's a great time. It's a great time for moms to just come relax. We're working on this year for it being completely free. In the past, we've had a ticket price, but this year we're looking to get it fully sponsored so moms don't have to worry about that cost. Just come and relax. And I've been listening to, oh my good, Rest is Resistance. that is a book, and I cannot remember the author's name, but it's like a memoir. And that just struck something with me, like rest as a form of resistance, and the woman just talks about that, and I said, "You know what? I wanna implement this into the events that I do for mothers." Like, I want you to come take a nap. I want you to come get a massage, not worry about your child. And if you need to close your eyes for 10, 15, 20 minutes, I want a mom to come be able to do that, because a lot of mother we don't you don't realize until you sit down at the end of the day and take a deep breath, and your body just says, "Ooh," you don't realize how much you need to rest. So, as I'm listening to this in the form of an audiobook, I'm just like, "Wow, I want to implement this into what we're doing." So we had our Mama Trauma Conference last year in collaboration with the Community Mental Health Collective and Dr. Tamara Thornhill. We plan to do something else similar, but I really am gonna focus on rest as a form of resistance, specifically for mothers. And yeah, those are the events that you guys can look forward to.
Oh, that is awesome. And if you're not in the city, like make your way here, Pittsburgh. We're starting to thrive, you know.
Yes,
There's a
absolutely.
lot of history of not thriving in Pittsburgh, but there are a lot of mompreneurs like Latrice changing that, and other just black and brown entrepreneurs who are out
Mhm.
here changing it for us and making this a place where we can thrive. So I appreciate so much the work that you do and the vision that you have. And I just want to ask you one last question before I let you go. Can you just tell us all, what does self-care look like for you?
Whew, rest. And no, honestly, I early on, I had a mentality, I had to work hard. I've been working since I was 12 years old, so it was like I had to work, work, school, work, school, work, school, but when I became a mother, probably when my daughter was around, like, 3, 4, and I became the primary parent, I realized I need to rest. Like, today, I had a meeting, and then I came home, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna, get these grants done, Imma do this," and it just hit I was sleepy. I said, I need to go lay down, and I've honored myself, by doing that, and to me, that is a true form of self-care. I wouldn't be able to function the way I am right now if I wouldn't have taken that moment to rest and reset. And there's so many studies about sleep and in your brain, how your brain needs to, reset during that time, and how if you don't get enough sleep, it affects everything. So self-care to me is resting. And also, because I prioritize rest, my ideal self-care weekend is where I can spend time, with my girls, spend time with my husband, and spend time with my child. If I can do all of those weekend, I'm set. But prioritizing myself to rest because I've been working so hard for so long, that is the ultimate self-care for me.
Awesome. Well, listeners, y'all heard that. Honor yourself through rest. Rest is productive and rest is resistance. I hope
Yes.
y'all look out for that book. I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm adding it to my list of reads for sure. Latrice, again, thank you so much for being here. I appreciated the conversation. And for our listeners, I'll talk to y'all all very, very soon.
Thank you.